Welcome back. Welcome to Kim Talks Stress. And over the past several days, I've been coming on here live and creating these videos to help level set or create some definitions around stress. Stress is a massive topic. In fact, if you Google stress or Google stress management, you will have thousands upon thousands of articles and resources and links and experts and techniques and on and on and on and on. There is no shortage of stress-related information out there. But if there's so much information, right, why are we all so stressed? And so the purpose of these talks and the purpose of the work that I do and truly my passion and mission is to level set, create a common kind of framework for stress and then a common framework for stress-less living. And if you join me in the first video, and you can go back and find it in the feed if you missed it, but I talked about stress as being a state of imbalance. But stress is also very natural. You know, we don't have stress-free living unless we're going, living in a cave somewhere or disconnecting from life in some way. So there is no such thing as stress-free living, which is why I talk about stress-less living. And what I mean by that is a way of life that allows for the release of stress and the daily stresses on a regular, ideally daily basis. So it's not about avoiding stress. It's not about eliminating stress. It's about living stress less. So if we are new to meeting each other, welcome. My name is Kim Fulton. I am a stress reset and resilience coach. And based on the foundations of yoga and Ayurveda, where I have done extensive training and spent, thousands and thousands of hours, not only in training and accreditation, but in personal experiences and personal transformation, I have taken this kind of body of knowledge, taken my experiences, and turned this into a way of living and a way of teaching and a way of sharing related to stress. So welcome. And so yesterday, you'll see me here with my stack of Jenga blocks, and I love a good prop. Yesterday I was in my car. It was a little hard to kind of manage the props, but here I am today with my Jenga blocks precariously stacked in front of me, because I think it is such a beautiful illustration of what I mean when I talk about things like stress load, stress stack, stress accumulation. You can see here, each block perhaps representing, or my intention is for each block to represent a stress that you experience, something that causes or creates an experience of stress for you in your life. And when I talk about an accumulation of stress, it is the repetition of a series of events or an event or a number of events that cause an accumulation. Now, yesterday I talked about specifically why some of these things that we do related to stress management don't work, and especially don't work if you have a significantly sized stress load or accumulation or a stress stack, like I've illustrated here with my Jenga block. And in particular, that is because a stress management technique, kind of pulls one thing away at a time. Oh, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, there we go. Kind of takes the edge off things, but the next day a stress comes back, something changes, or you can't do the technique, and your stress stack is right back to ground zero. Yesterday, though, I also talked about, unless there is like some kind of fundamental or massive change in your life that kind of wiped out this stress stack, right? That, just a stress management technique is simply going to, or won't cut it, right? It's not going to solve the problem of the massive stress stack. I like to say, and I have said a few times already, it takes the edge off, but it doesn't solve things. But I want to mention as well that a massive change in your life, right? You may be thinking to yourself, yeah, but if that job changed, if that boss changed, if that coworker was different, once my kids get older, if the husband was different, if, all of these things, if the politics were different, if the economy was different, when that's different, when the project ends, when this thing comes to a natural conclusion, then I will not be stressed. That is the source of my stress, and that is my stress. And when that changes, then I will be stressless or stress-free. And I want to say that if that is you, if that's how you're feeling, then please don't wait for that situation to happen to deal with your feeling of stress. Your feeling of stress, your experience of stress is highly personal. And if you're waiting for that thing to change, you can be waiting a very long time. But in fact, even if that thing changed right now, I could take a section, say this is a bad job, or the job is causing you stress, and I could place that over here. Gone. Now with this perhaps shorter stress stack, you're going to feel some instant relief. I don't doubt that for one moment, and quite honestly, I've lived that. But when we have something in our life that is creating or causing a stress effect, like the job, right? Our emotions, the way we react, our perception, our discernment, our daily lifestyle has been impacted to such an extent that the removal of the job or the removal of the thing, right, doesn't clear things out. And so rather than starting from a clean slate, you're starting here, right? And then the situations change again. And then your parents are aging and they need extra support. And then, you change jobs, but guess what happens? Same wall, different paint. And then suddenly, we've got some bad weather, a tree falls on your house, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, what you thought was going to be the solution didn't have lasting effect. I'm going to move the pile a little bit so I'm not knocking it over. Just looking at it's causing me stress. I'll put it over here for a little bit. We can still talk about it. So what I want to share with you today, if this is you, if this speaks to you, if you can pinpoint to something in your life that is the absolute source of your stress, or you feel like it's the absolute source of your stress, and you are waiting for that situation to change, don't wait. You can take action now. And adding on to my conversation yesterday, please stop looking for or moving from stress management technique to stress management technique to solve your problem. Because, like I said, that'll take the edge off. But it's not lasting change. And it won't work in the long term. But let me tell you what will. So to create a life that is stressless, or the art of stressless living, begins by really understanding your unique stress stack, your unique stress accumulation, and the composition of it. so that we can recognize, kind of the contributing factors. Part 2 is that we then need to start unpacking it. You need to be able to release it, to let go, to heal. Part 3, after that releasing, you need to have tools and a way to reset. You need to have the opportunity to reset so that you can restart. Part 4, after you've done some work, you're releasing, you're rebuilding, then we start on a brand new foundation. A brand new foundation, clearer of the accumulation. And from this foundation, then we can start to reintegrate. And then, quite honestly, this is a process of repeat. Repeat, repeat, repeat. But not repeating because you are going from one technique to another. Repeating because, like I said at the beginning, stress is a natural occurrence. It is only a state of imbalance. And the problem isn't stress. The problem is its effect on us. And so this is a lifestyle. And that is why I call it the art of stress-less living. So 2 things I want you to think about right now. First, you can take action. You don't have to wait. And second, even if that massive change were to happen, I want you to know that there is still an accumulation of stress that needs to be addressed. So not only can you do it now, you should do it now. And if this sounds like you or somebody that you know, I want you to just take one simple step. One simple step. I'll put the instructions below this video. If you haven't already followed me, go ahead and do that so that we can connect. But the one simple step I want you to take after that is to message me. Message me the word stress. And if you think that there's somebody in your life that could really benefit from this conversation, share this video with them as well. And until next time, thank you for joining me today. See you soon.